Hi, how are you?
Super. How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to me for a minute.
No worries at all. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited that you guys are going to be here. I actually when I asked to interview you, I A didn't think I would get to, and B thought it would be a lot closer to the show. So yeah, it's like a month and a half till the show's still in Austin, but I'm really excited that you guys are coming, and I can't wait to go. So
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Obviously, it's a town that we've loved for years and years. It's a real cool place to always be. So anytime that we can, bring the show on the road there, we're always really excited about it because, kind of in cool cities like Austin, though, the show kind of becomes a little bit separate for us. You know what I mean? We're just hanging out all day trying to last till bus call because we only get to go there, once or twice a year. And Austin's just one of those places that's always like really special for us, and we're looking forward to it. Also, emos at emos. I
hmm
mean, it was written in the stars. I love it.
I agree. Did you ever go to the old emos when it
Yep,
was like downtown?
absolutely. Yep, one of the I think the first time that we ever played in Austin was with Silverstein, Alexis on Fire, and Emery in 2004 at Emos. And I just thought it was hilarious that it was called Emos at the time, because at that time period that was not necessarily a marketable word,
Right.
and obviously that's not what it's for. But I just mean in general, it's just hilarious that it kind of happened to work out that way.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so I haven't even introduced myself yet, but hello, I am Stephanie.
Hi, I'm JT.
Hi. So yeah, I am with a community radio station here in Austin called Co-op, KOOP, and I have a show called The Emo Diaries, and I have local bands on in like emo and adjacent kind of music every week. And they come on, they talk about their band, they talk about their influences and their inspirations, and uh, Hawthorne Heights comes up all the time among the people that I have on my show. So
Nice.
I'm sure that you know, but you have been a huge influence for so many people. And yeah, I thank you for making music.
Of course, I appreciate all the kind words. Obviously, that wasn't the goal at the time. We were just trying to get out of Dayton, Ohio, and you know, showcase our influences on the bands that we loved and everything like that. Like, you know, growing up listening to Blink 182 and Green Day, and then moving that a little bit further down the road and digging a little bit deeper into like the music scene, the undercurrent that was happening. You fall in love with so many other things, and all those influences for us, is exactly what has always mattered. You know what I mean? Trying to put all of our influences into one little tiny package. And the fact that we were able to take the music that we love that inspired us and create some sort of brand of it that is inspiring anybody else in the world is, that's truly magical and special. And that is one of those things that can keep you can keep you around for years and years and years, because you as the artist really do have to remain inspired, because everybody's just a human being, and you go through your dark times as much as we go through our dark times. And when we hear things like that, and you know it just reinvigorates us. Little tiny fires, that's all you're really looking for in life.
Yeah. Um, so you guys are going on this tour. It's the 20th anniversary of the album. And after 20 years, I mean you were just saying like you try to keep those little fires going. And after 20 years, how do you keep that going like for yourself? How do you keep finding new ways to I guess not get stuck in the same rut, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, it's a human condition thing. Um, for me personally, like I always joke and say that like I've raw dogged life for almost my entire life. I'm a straight edge. I've went through this entire career without any any help during the best times and during the worst times. I've seen I've seen it through crystal clear eyes. Um, and sometimes that's an incredible thing. Sometimes it's a terrible thing. But I will say that it's given me the levity of being able to look back on everything and and truly remember the pictures that were being painted. Um, and I think that that's one of the things that has always driven me is to be in the moment that we're in and not trying to cloud it with anything and not trying to look back on days of the past with anything other than reverence. I've never had to wake up one morning and wonder what happened last night. How out of control did we get? It's always painfully in control, to be honest with you. And I think that's one of the reasons that, like me personally, I can really look back and focus on all the things that I do love about it. Now, in those pressure-filled moments, that everybody has in their life, anytime you're quote unquote going to work and someone is bothering you in your workplace, it can feel like, should I be doing something else? But usually, if you have like a level head, you snap yourself back into it and go, wait a minute, I'm doing what I love. Why? I can't be a baby about this little tiny issue. And it's those kind of moments like, being like stone cold sober all the time. It really allows you to manage your emotions. At least it does for me. I'm not saying it works for everybody, but like for me, it's been a great ride to be able to just, have a clear vision of everything that's transpired in my life.
Yeah, for sure. On that note, do you have any like really great memories that you feel like you don't really ever get to share for the last like 25 years?
I mean, I feel like that's really all that it is. I feel like everybody is a complex individual if you break, all of you and your friends down and everything like that. If you break each other down, because we only see the surface of each other, um, it's mostly good things. You know, life is mostly good things. So, I don't really have much to complain about, even though there has been a lot of bumps in the road. We've had major tragedies happen to us. Um, but we've also had triumphs at the same time. And I think that as long as you look at it like that, you'll always find something magical in, whatever you're doing. Like we've had our guitar player pass away. And, not only is it a guitar player, we weren't built in an AI bot. We were friends
Right.
who were, like also living together and also, like performing every single day together, writing creatively, being each other's like inspirational partners. And out of nowhere, that's a major portion of your life that is totally gone. You don't know that it's going to happen. And that is like, you can either use a moment like that to be a driver for you and give you, like a resounding zeal for life, because you realize how precious it is in the moment, or you can use it as an anchor to hold you back and to stay in those memories and feel like life isn't unfair. I feel like we've been a band that has been able to balance the tragedies of what the music industry can bring to you and focus on the good things that it can bring to you and focus on the relationship with our fans and how we've been able to maybe help each other uh, therapeutically to a degree move forward in life. So, like there's plenty of moments that You know, they're mostly mundane though. Like the things that I love and the things that I don't talk about are when we're on tour in another country and I'm drinking coffee at a place that I've never been and I look out the window and I see like some sort of exotic bird of paradise in, Perth, Australia. Like those are the moments that like I'm concerned with because they help me balance out uh, when the shower isn't nice in the venue. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That is not a tragedy to most people. So also looking out and seeing a cool colored bird is also not like this wonderful magic that I'm making it out to be to most people. But those are the moments that I tend to focus on because I'm a very introspective person, even though I'm kind of a forced extrovert in my professional life. I'm the lead singer of the band. I only got two choices: be the moody guy that doesn't ever talk, that no one can ever touch, or be a man of the people from the Midwest, which is actually who I am. So I tend to just focus on little tiny sparks of magic instead of like, dude, we were playing, there was 100,000 people there. Like, yes, that stuff is cool and everything, but like, I honestly, I prefer to live my life at 70%, not 100%, because 100% you start taking losses and your average goes down. But at 70%, I feel cool like San Diego, you know?
I think that is the most inspiring thing I've ever heard anybody say,
I
honestly.
mean, you really can't you don't want to get too above that because then not only do you expect to be above that, other people expect you to be above that. And then you start falling short, not only on yourself, you fall short on other people's expectations. So, for better or for worse, the one thing that we have been able to maintain is our honesty of exactly who we are. Like when we're talking to people online, it either goes one way or another. People like they've either talked to me before or they can read context clues. So if I say something, our band is like extremely sarcastic. So if I say something like, somebody we'll answer our web store messages or whatever, and somebody's like, "Hey, I ordered a VIP and I haven't gotten anything." And then I'll be like, "Well, the show's in 2 months. What do you expect to get?" And some people would be like, "Man, that guy was really mean." And then some people would be like, "Dude, that guy's hilarious." You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even think about it. They're not mailing me these items. I'm picking them up the day of the show and meeting the band.
Yeah.
So it can kind of get you into trouble every once in a while because people be like, that dude was so mean. And then you can't walk back on it or anything. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not trying to be mean. Trust me, it's funny. If it's context is everything. But, we're in the middle of a full blown digital age now where kind of everybody's looking for you to be mean a little bit somehow. But, like if you were to be communicating with people in person, they could hear you, the tone of your voice or the look in your eye or the way your eyebrows are like, moving up and down, and the delight in your eye when you've caught somebody and that you can make a joke with them. Um, but yeah, it's just funny. That's just who we are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? We're for the most part pretty happy go lucky, but we can come across as stern, which I kind of like. Gives us the upper hand a little bit every once in a while when people think we're slightly mean.
Right. It keeps the wrong people away.
Yes, it does.
Um, I think it's funny that you're bringing that up, like sarcasm and all of that, just because, um, so on the new winter 2025 single,
Yep.
the song Wreckage, there's a line that says, "I'd rather be dead than be cold again." And I was listening to that song, like, they know they're from Ohio, right? Like that makes sense if you're from like Texas and like that being cold sucks, but like you literally live in Ohio. So, was that like it's probably metaphorical, like I realize that, but do you think that you kind of put that kind of, you know, wink and a nod in your songs sometimes?
I definitely do. That's me writing that. That's my personality in that. And you know, that is like that's almost me saying that I have been imprisoned in Ohio because I wrote a song about Ohio and they won't let me leave. And like, if you're gonna get the worst version of me during the winter. You really are, because I am an Arizona mind or a San Diego, LA mind trapped in a Ohio body. So, but that's the dreamer in me. You know what I mean? Like it really is. Like I joke about Ohio winters and I joke about Midwest winters. It, and it's hardened me to a degree, but this is where our friends and family are. You know what I mean? So like let's just say that I decide in the golden years to just flip on out to Arizona or something like that. Um, I'm sure that there are going to be times that I would miss the snow falling and things like that. So right now it's always a don't know what you got till it's gone situation. Like I just had to, shovel 18 inches of snow 2 weeks ago. That's a good time for that lyric. Um, and then, other times, I always consider myself, I'm like an iguana just looking for a rock. I'm
Okay.
looking for the sun to like warm my bones and rip the flesh from my skin. If I have to sit in the snow for any reason, you don't want that version of me. So that's kind of one of the reasons, like a little bit later in your career, you can start kind of making choices. At least you should start making choices of things that you want to do, not things you have to do. And the things that I want to do is to remain tethered in love with the road. And I do that by trying to push it as far as I can, starting in spring and ending in fall. So that way, like, at least if I'm mad and it's cold and it's icy, I can just stay in my house,
Yeah.
you know? Um, so that's kind of where that comes from. You're always going to get a little bit of me complaining that the sky is not blue. You know what I mean? Give
Yeah.
me the sunshine, give me the blue skies, because you can tell by these lyrics, perpetually gray up here. You got to give me something better than I got for myself.
That's amazing. Um, I'm going to listen to every single song with that in mind now. It's just like I'm trapped here, get me out.
Yep, there's
And
going to be something in there. I'm telling you, you'll find it. This little tiny Easter eggs. You'll find it.
um, are there any I guess newer bands or artists that you tour with um or that you would like to tour with? I don't know that kind of light that fire under you to keep going out on the road and to keep making new music.
Yeah, there's, you got to kind of watch yourself. You got to police yourself sometimes because, um, you play music so much, you write music so much, everything's always loud. There's all this noise. So the first thing that you think of is to like crawl into a cave someplace and listen to spoken word or ambient noises. But if you do that, you lose sight of who you are to a degree. You know what I mean? There's a difference between being inspired by other styles. That's cool. But when you start to lose track of like the angriness in you, the reason that you started listening to music, I feel like that's when your favorite artists might not be who they were when you first heard them. And we're
Okay.
pretty cognizant of that. And I'm pretty cognizant of that. Like I love the stuff that I listened to when I was growing up. I love to still listen to things like, Blink 182 and stuff like that because they're awesome. It's like a I don't know, your favorite hoodie or something like that. It's great. It's comfortable, it, it's wonderful. But it might hold you back from thinking about new ideas, things like that, because the thing that I feel nobody needs more of us is to create music from 2004. They need us to create relevant music now in our lens. And that's why you have to listen to like new perspectives on what you do. Like for me, um, I could never be close-minded to like what the quote unquote new school is doing. Like somebody like Hot Mulligan. Um, Great band, awesome, different perspective on this world that we all live in. It's nothing that like I don't sound like Hot Mulligan, but it's awesome to hear it. It's awesome to hear somebody else's perspective on emo and punk rock and like living in the Midwest at a younger time period. That's great. That's inspiring in ways that you would never see, because you're not going to hear it in our music, but it could be inspired by. Um, so they're awesome. They're kind of top of the world. Anytime you hear a band like Pierce the Veil, I feel like they're only slightly younger than us, but they play so much guitar that it's inspiring because like that's not what we do in any way. And it's awesome to listen to them kind of take all similar influences, and that's kind of how it comes out.
Hmm.
Um, and then some, like the youngish bands, you'll hear a band like Anxious or something like that, or Movements, that are like steeped in all this emo, screamo, pop punk, post-hardcore, like that whole world that we all exist in. They're like funneling it down and distilling it in an entirely different way. And it's always awesome to play with bands like that and listen to them and watch them and see their point of view and everything. And so I think you got to listen to younger bands. Like even if you're on tour with them and a band is like, dude, like you were my favorite band growing up, which is honestly flattering and terrifying at the same time. Um, but hearing that, you can listen to that band and go, wow, I know that they listen to like things like, you know, Census Fail and Silverstein and Thursday and Hawthorne and stuff like that, but they don't sound like that. And that means that they're great. It means that they're not trying to sound like any of this stuff. It just means that something that we did somehow, some way inspired them to create something that may technically be better than anything. And that's what it is. That's why you know, AI can't compete with real humans because like if I inspired something that sounds nothing like what I do, that's the most beautiful thing in the world because they didn't try to replicate it. It just made them create their own vision of what all this world is. And that to me is the most inspiring part of music. Like
Yeah.
when we were listening to all that stuff back in the day, they were more same age bracket contemporaries and stuff like that. And we played with Coheed and Cambria at a rental hall in our hometown in 2003, and we were like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And there's 60 people there. It's like you don't go to the Chapel Roan show to be inspired to start your first emo band, even though that's an example that I would give that if you only stayed in your lane, you would never hear wonderful music like Chapel Roan or Lana Del Rey or, all these things that don't have anything to do with emo, but have to do with crafting great pop songs and stuff like that. So, you know, there's magic everywhere. Like staying in your little tiny comfort zone, that's usually a bad thing. But, when creating music for fans, we don't want to spread our wings too much, but we want to be inspired by.
Yeah.
One of my favorite artists is Tom Petty. I do not want to sound like Tom Petty. You know what I mean? Like just
Hmm.
because I'm listening to a lot of Tom Petty does not mean that I'm playing a Telecaster and or a Rickenbacker and trying to sound like, you know, Southern rock. That's not what it is. The point is the melody and the mood and the aggression and the passion and stuff like that. Like that's what you're listening for, or the lyrics or the emotion, like whatever that is. So I think that's one thing that we have tried to do as Hawthorne Heights is really just listen to whatever is out there, but remain Hawthorne Heights. I think that's the key to lasting a long time is don't try to get caught up in whatever anybody else is doing. Maintain, row your own boat, that
Yeah.
sort of scenario.
Whenever I ask bands on my show, a lot of times I'll say, what other genres do you listen to? And actually, so many people tell me hip hop.
Yeah, our
They take a
bass player
lot
is a
from hip
huge
hop.
hip hop guy. He really is. And like it's never been my thing. I had a little bit uh in the early 90s before I really, like I kind of grew up in the 80s, so everything was about like hair metal and fun. And then the early 90s hit and that culture kind of took over America, and being from a small town, um, you know, listening to hip hop was about as far out as you could get. Listening to artists from like, New York City and Los Angeles, and it really connected you to what the outside world looked like. Until, bands like Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and everybody else kind of brought it back to a different type of level. So, I did have that moment in my life, but our bass player, he really does get inspired um, by a lot of stuff like that, hip hop, R&B, pop music, stuff like that. So, there's always one or two in each band. There really is, and like, they do still listen to like all this stuff and everything like that. But um, yeah, you got to be inspired by like so many other things. Otherwise, you're either ripping yourself off or you're ripping your friends off,
Yeah,
and like that's not the point. The point is to be your own musician.
right. And it's all going to sound the same if everyone just, you know,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yep. You got to find other ways to turn your band into, something else.
yeah. Well, it is 12:30, and so I do not want to take all of your entire day. So thank you so, so, so much. This has been such a good conversation, and I loved hearing, like I feel like there was so much insight that you gave me just in this 30 minutes that yeah, I thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for, like thanks for having a conversation, just talking about music in general and helping spread the magic moments that, is exactly what this is supposed to be, just music connecting people to other people. And you live in an awesome city. Can't wait to spend a little bit of time there, and hopefully you can come out to the show and just have a good time. All right.
All right, I'll be there. Thank you so much.
Awesome. See you soon.
All
Thank
right,
you.
bye.